The editor and director clearly want to involve the audience in this narrative, as they are thinking and asking questions helps the video flow when they are watching it, as they want to find out what happens at the end. This shot cuts into a medium close-up shot which zooms into a close-up of the female as her gestures of holding the shirt and crying into it are denoted. The zoom has been used to concentrate on her gesture and facial expressions of crying into the shirt. This links back to the last shot. She's unfolding the shirt. This represents the next shot of being an action shot. This shirt prop is used again to create enigma. The audience are eager to find out why she's upset and what the shirt signifies. This shot cuts straight into a medium long shot of the location again with the male and female. The shot is linked with the next as by the end of the shot another shot is needed to finish the action. The shot is of her finishing packing and is about to slam the suitcase shut in anger. The male in the background is stood looking at her, connoting his confusion into why she is packing. His face is slightly blanked out again due to the high key lighting from the window. This is used to take the focus away and imply it onto the female and the suitcase prop. This shot cuts straight into the action shot, a close-up of the suitcase being slammed shut. This flows from the previous shot as the two shots have been synchronized so the angle of the suitcase at the end of the previous clip has been matched with the angle at the start of this clip. This makes the clip and edits flow and helps the narrative seem more realistic for the audience. The use of synchronization of the music with the shot has been used effectively as the suitcase slams on the major drum beat as the music drops into the chorus. The transition of a fade out has been used on the shot as the music also fades out, leaving only the vocals left until the chorus hits. It creates an intense feel for the audience, one that makes the viewer's hair stand on end with the combination of what they see and what they hear. After the fade, the next shot is a close-up of the lead singer. Chad emphasizes his facial expressions to create meaning of the words "someday I will." You can notice that he has a passion for the lyrics and what he wrote. This shot then cuts into a long shot that uses the rule of thirds. The shot shows the guitarist on the left, the drummer in the centre and the blank space on the right. The use of the right sector is to create space which draws attention away from the area to concentrate on the drummer and guitarist. This is whilst the drop of the chorus kicks in when every instrument is back playing. This then cuts to the montage sequence of each band member playing or singing. The sequence consists of 7 shots, all constantly showing either a close-up medium shot of the band member or the whole band with a low pan from left to right across them. This straight cuts to a long shot of the flat where the male puts his head in his hands. It's a stereotypical gesture that connotes being upset, and it is being used to juxtapose with the next shots of the female closing her suitcase and leaving. Following on from this shot, it cuts to a close-up of the suitcase being picked up by the female hand, which connotes that she is about to leave from packing her things. This cuts back into a long shot of the room, but this time the female is walking away from the bed, also in a slow pan movement from left to right as being used to track her movement from the bed towards the door. The male is also in the shot, but is still sat down looking up at her, connoting she dominates this room, which also creates enigma to the question of the audience why she is in control. This shot cuts into the band member singing backup vocals to the chorus. The shot is a close-up of his face, and there's only a slight camera movement in this shot due to this head moving angles and not moving position. This cuts into a medium close-up which is used as deep depth of field, blurring out her body and focusing on the male's expressions behind as he looks confused on why she is leaving. This is still creating enigma throughout these simple facial expressions, gestures and camera shots to keep the audience flowing in the narrative. This cuts into a close-up of the female's foot or leg as she steps in the middle puddle of milk, which came from when she knocked it onto the floor earlier. This also creates confusion for the audience because they wonder why you would use a close-up on something not important. It was clever by the director as he creates this enigma, confusion and questioning throughout the video and reveals it all at the end. This cuts into a medium long shot of the male still sat down looking up at the female as she collects her things from the table. There has been no use of blur as a shot, as they are both equally important in the part of the narrative. This shot cuts straight into an over-the-shoulder close-up of the female as the camera looks over the male's shoulder. This shot focuses on her sadness in the facial expressions as she glances down at the table. The shot cuts straight into an insert shot of the newspaper revealing a small section of the article. This close-up insert shot shows a slight blur around the edges of the newspaper, which is typical to the naked eye, and reveals the words "man" in and "bridge" to the audience. This creates an enigma as the audience tries to compile words together to think of what the article says without seeing the whole thing. This shot cuts straight into a medium close-up of the male, but the shot has no significance. I feel the editor has added a small shot of this male to juxtapose with the previous insert shot of the newspaper's article. This could also get the audience questioning the male on why he's there. As he looks up towards the female, the shot cuts straight into a close-up of her expressions once more, as she is on the verge of tears. This shot also uses shallow depth of field as it focuses on her face and none of the background objects behind her. This is a great technique. It blurs out everything for the viewer so they focus their attention on one thing. This shot cuts into a medium close-up of her feet and legs as she walks away from the puddle of milk, leaving trails of footsteps of the milk. A slight tilt upwards has been used to follow her steps away from the puddle of milk. A cut to a medium shot of her slowly turning round as she clenches the door to pulled shut. She now has a jacket that isn't worn correctly. It's as if she has just thrown it onto her arms but not pulled it up. This creates a slight thought that she maybe just don't care anymore, and although this is only a small part of the costume in the mise-en-scène, it can affect the way the viewer sees her. In the shot she glances back to the room and her eyes focus towards the floor as the next shot cuts straight into the male, the medium shot of him showing that he is looking towards her, but if you link back to the last shot she isn't looking towards his location. This connotes he is trying to interact with her but she isn't with him. You can also make out the words "leave me," which can be associated with "please don't leave me," but it creates a mystery that carries on throughout the video narrative that gets more revealing and more obvious further the narrative comes along. The previous shot straight cuts into a medium close-up of the male's feet and legs as he steps into the puddle of milk, which then cuts back to the close-up of his facial expressions as he looks annoyed but mainly upset of why she is leaving. Yet again, a shallow depth of field has been used to concentrate on the actor's face as he walks off the camera area. This shot cuts back into the previous camera shot, but this time it shows his feet and legs as they walk away from the puddle of milk. The camera slowly zooms forward into a close-up towards his steps and shows there are no milk sets where his feet have been. This creates an enigma for the audience as they wonder why he left no milk on the floor when he stepped into it and walked away from it. This shot cuts into a medium long shot of the male walking away and his head down looking at the ground. This is a stereotypical towards being upset as you don't want anyone to see your face due to sadness. This shot cuts straight back into the previous shot as it reassures people of the missing milk footsteps as it repeats the previous shot but zooms in more. This verse and chorus of the song ends as part of the narrative and ends the location of the flat with a slow fade transition from the close-up to the floor to blackness. The second verse kicks in and almost as the fade transition has completed, the fade in the transition is used to represent the change in location. This shot is a long shot showing the whole band playing each instrument and all the band's equipment in the background. This camera tracks from left to right to connote the movement of the narrative as the second verse kicks in, and how the location has changed and moved on. Each band member is in the stereotypical pose to represent the genre of rock. The spread out leg stance truly reinforcing this stereotype as well as the costume of jeans and dark clothing.